Rochester is a city in the U.S. state of New York, the seat of Monroe County, and the third most populous in the state after New York City and Buffalo. With an estimated population of 205,695 in 2020. The city of Rochester forms the core of a much larger metropolitan area with a population of around 1.1 million people. Across 6 counties, Rochester was one of the United States' first boomtowns, initially due to the fertile Genesee River Valley, which gave rise to numerous flour mills, and then as a manufacturing center, which spurred further rapid population growth. The city rose to prominence as the birthplace and home of some of America's most iconic companies. In particular, Eastman Kodak, Xerox, and Bausch & Lomb resulted in a much less severe contraction than in most Rust Belt metro areas. Today, Rochester's economy is defined by technology and education and is home to several world-famous museums such as the Strong National Museum of Play and the George Eastman Museum. The oldest photography collection in the world and one of the largest, the Rochester Metro, is ranked highly in terms of livability and quality of life and is often considered to be one of the best places in America for families due to low cost of living, highly ranked public schools and a low unemployment rate. A great divide, though, exists between its inner city component and its affluent, well-educated southern suburbs. It is considered to be a global city, ranked by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network as having sufficiency status. The Seneca tribe of Native Americans lived in and around Rochester until losing claim to most of this land in the Treaty of Big Tree in 1797. Settlement before the Seneca tribe is unknown. Rochester's development followed the American Revolution and forced cession of their territory by the Iroquois after Britain's defeat. Allied with the British, 4 major Iroquois tribes were forced out of New York. As a reward for their loyalty to the British Crown, they were given a large land grant on the Grand River in Canada. Rochester was founded shortly after the American Revolution by a wave of English Puritan-descended immigrants from New England, who were looking for new agricultural land. They were the dominant cultural group in Rochester for over a century. On November 8, 1803, Colonel Nathaniel Rochester tracked from the state in western New York along the Genesee River. They chose the site because its 3 cataracts on the Genesee offered great potential for water power. Beginning in 1811, and with a population of 15, the 3 founders surveyed the land and laid out streets and tracts. In 1817, the Brown brothers and other landowners joined their lands with the 100-acre tract to form the village of Rochesterville. By 1821, Rochesterville was the seat of Monroe County. In 1823, it consisted of 1,012 acres and 2,500 residents, and the village of Rochesterville became known as Rochester. Also in 1823, the Erie Canal aqueduct over the Genesee River was completed, and the Erie Canal east to the Hudson River was opened. In the early 20th century, after the advent of railroads, the presence of the canal in the center city was an obstacle. It was rerouted south of Rochester by 1918 when the barge canal was completed. By 1830, Rochester's population was 9,200, and in 1834, it was recharted as a city. Rochester was first known as the Young Lion of the West, and then as the Flour City. By 1838, it was the largest flour-producing city in the United States, having doubled its population in only 10 years. Rochester became America's first boom town. In 1830–31, Rochester experienced one of the nation's biggest Protestant revivalist movements, led by Charles Grandison Finney. The revival inspired other revivals of the Second Great Awakening. A leading pastor in New York, who was converted in the Rochester meetings, gave this account of Finney's meetings there. The whole community was stirred. Religion was the topic of conversation in the house, in the shop, in the office, and on the street. The only theater in the city was converted into a livery stable. The only circus into a soap and candle factory. Grog shops were closed. The Sabbath was honored. The sanctuaries were thronged with happy worshippers. A new impulse was given to every philanthropic enterprise. The fountains of benevolence were opened, and men lived to good. By the mid-19th century, as the center of the wheat processing industry moved west with population and agriculture, the city became home to an expanding nursery business, giving rise to the city's second nickname, the Flower City. Nurseries ringed the city, the most famous of which was started in 1840 by immigrants Georg Ellwanger from Germany and Patrick Barry from Ireland. In 1847, Frederick Douglass founded the abolitionist newspaper, the North Star in Rochester. A former slave and an anti-slavery speaker and writer, he gained a circulation over 4,000 readers in the unit.